Hello and welcome to Atomic Facepalm. This is Chris, and today on this bite-sized review, we go over Shovel Knight. So, Shovel Knight is an oldie but a goodie. Came out in 2014, which was a while ago. I somehow missed it, so it showed up. The kids were playing it, and I thought, that looks like a great game because it's retro. So, here it is, Shovel Knight in very quick fashion. It's available on pretty much every platform, such as the Wii U, the 3DS, the PS4, Steam, like you name it, it's on there. It's $25 on the PlayStation Store and on Steam. You might be able to find it for less depending on what platform you go for. But for those two, $25. Not a bad price, a little high, I feel like. Came out a while ago, so maybe it was before indie games started becoming cheaper. Still worth it. Smallest download. We have a pretty crappy internet connection here, and even with our terrible DSL, it downloaded in like 5 minutes. So you should be able to get it lickety-split. So, right into it. It is a straight-up 1980s NES platformer with authentic 8-bit graphics. I would heavily recommend if you have an old CRT laying around to play it on that thing, because if you play it on a giant screen like ours, it looks a little pixelated and not really like a Nintendo game. It looks more like a computer game. So if you have that possibility, do it. You're a medieval knight. You're armed with a shovel. You have a shovel, and you hit people with it. So you use it to bash enemies or dig up treasure. The object is you need to rescue the Shield Knight. She has been captured by the Enchantress, who's being protected by the Order of No Quarter, a collection of rogue knights such as yourself who've gone to the dark side. It's majorly inspired by Zelda 2, An Adventure of Link. Basically for the down thrust mechanic that you have, you hit down and get guys, and for the villages that you explore. It's also inspired by Mega Man, specifically for the stage layouts, and for the boss names. So you have like Treasure Knight and Plague Knight, adjective, noun, knight. Also, you have a lot of power-ups in this game, which are inspired by Castlevania series, such as you have an anchor you can throw up in an arc, you have a fireball that goes forward, a lot of stuff based off that type of mechanic. And finally, the Super Mario Bros. 3 Overworld map is pretty much a palette swap for this one. So you get to move around the map and kind of explore, defeat certain things that unlock areas, etc. It's not a rip-off at all, but it's more of a detailed, very lovingly crafted game. It's an homage. And it's a game where if you didn't know any better, it would have actually released back in the 80s with other NES games. It's that good. There's really simple controls. You can jump, you can shovel swipe, and you can do your little down thrust to bounce off enemies indefinitely, or objects if you can hit them correctly. That you can collect gold, and you can attack using special items and special abilities once you unlock or buy them. You have a health and a magic meter, both of which can be increased through collectible items or through spending money. So your little health bar will go up and you can use more magic. There are lots of secrets in the stages, including a special merchant who will pop up in each stage to give you a special bonus item if you can afford it. And that will usually help you to do other bonus stages that you really can't get to unless you have those particular things. You can also collect a bunch of hidden note sheets scattered throughout the whole game. They're tough to get. It will take you a few times to play levels to get them. But when you do, you can bring them back to the bard in the village, and then you can play the music at any time you want. And speaking of the music, my God, it is amazing. You can actually buy the soundtrack on Steam for $10, and honestly, it seems like a lot, but it's money well spent, in my opinion. It's very much inspired by Mega Man 2, and the music, oof, just perfection. There's no limit on lives, but each time you die, you lose a certain amount of money, which can be quite painful, because that's how you upgrade all your stuff. So you have a chance to collect it back, kind of like the Dark Souls mechanic. So it's not like you're going to go to a stage, die, and have to start the whole thing over. There's also checkpoints scattered throughout, and they usually feel appropriate. There's usually a little bit of a hard part before one of the final checkpoints to get through that can be tough. You can also opt to destroy those checkpoints to get a bunch of money at the risk of not being able to spawn back there. So if you're confident, you can destroy them and get rich. But if you die, you're going to be hurting. The bosses are pretty tough, and usually it's going to take you a bunch of times to conquer them. Luckily, there is a save point before every boss. So even if you lose all your money, you can still keep fighting them over and over again. But that can be tough. Eventually, you get magic jars, which are called Truple chalices, and you get to refill those with health or with brief invincibility, or even one that you can collect gold that's nearby. So, and that makes the bosses much, much easier. The later stages, though, the difficulty ramps up considerably throughout the game. So the last few stages are probably going to test your sanity, and you're going to have some serious Twitch-based performance skills. If you're not used to platforming, this game will crush you near the end. It's not as hard as some actual old NES games, mind you, which had limited lives, a timer, and no continues. It's not like that. Looking at you, Double Dragon! But it is still very tough. This game is actually the perfect history lesson for a game of younger players. If you have kids or you have just a younger household who has not experienced NES games, this is a great window to the past. You can see why your parents, such as us, broke so many Nintendo controllers and why we have nervous twitches, because this game is a very good indicator of that. So, what do I think overall of Shovel Knight? Goddamn flat-out amazing game. Go buy it. It's not for everyone, so if you have no platforming skill, it's going to be a little tough, but it's still a lot of fun, great music, good inspired gameplay that doesn't rip off from other games. It just takes those ideas and runs with them. So, that is it. Thank you guys for coming to this bite-sized review. If you enjoyed this review, consider subscribing. You can always leave a comment below, and go ahead and follow us on Twitter to get all the updates on the channel and our ramblings here and there. Thanks, guys. Good luck. And have fun.